Good morning. How's everyone doing this morning? Everyone awake? Had breakfast? Some Smithfield bacon, maybe? All right, very good. We're happy to be here this morning. Thanks for hosting us today, Scott, and your staff. We appreciate all the assistance that you guys have provided us. In 2016, we had or 2015, we had a very unique opportunity through a partnership with Smithfield Foods and with NBC and their feature documentary team to help them in building a platform called Chasing 43. And with that, we're going to show the trailer for Chasing 43, and we'll provide a little more information when we're finished.
You know, the first memories I had of Richard Petty was in the early 80s, so I was probably like 5 years old, 6 years old.
I knew the 43 when I was a kid, some of the toys, you see at the stores.
And I had the Richard Petty poster on the wall. I had the blue helmet that I wore around on my bicycle.
He had this giant comic book like this big, and I remember reading it over and over and over.
When you mention the King, people might think Elvis Presley, but if you're a NASCAR fan, you know who they're talking about. They're talking about Richard Petty.
The checkered flag flies for Richard Petty.
No one in the whole history of racing has ever won 200 races.
200 wins, it's just crazy.
He could race on dirt, he could race on short tracks, super speedways, he did it all.
Richard's been the single most influential person in the sport.
I'm a fan, and I'm a fan because of Richard Petty.
43, whenever I see it, it just instantly says Richard Petty.
Richard Petty.
Richard Petty. Richard Petty. Richard Petty.
Richard Petty is heading for the checkered flag.
And Richard hasn't been in that car in decades.
Number 43, Smithfield Ford, driven by Eric Almirola.
You know, every racetrack we go to, Richard's probably done something spectacular there.
Everywhere that Eric goes in that 43 car, he's racing history. He's racing Richard Petty's history.
Start your engine.
My goal every weekend is just to get that 43 car into victory lane.
Being a nephew of Richard Petty was pretty special. You know, it was family. The number 43, it means winning races, winning championships.
We got to be aggressive tonight, guys. 1, 2, 3, win!
You know, you got expectations that you may not get with other race cars. When you get goals like that set, the whole garage is working to try to be the best.
Eric Almirola is the winner.
I've got number 1. I just got 199 to go.
Got a little makeup to do there, right? So I think for most of you who are here today, you're in the sport, you're probably with us at Daytona, and you may have missed Chasing 43 because of your work duties, but if you did miss it, I would encourage you to take the opportunity to spend some time, and it's about an hour-long production from NBC. It aired immediately prior to the July race at Daytona. About 4.5 million people got the opportunity to see the history of the 43 number and what that means to a gentleman like Eric and Trent's over here in the group with us today, and the legacy that car carries. And I thought it provided some insight as to what those guys deal with on a day-to-day basis. I'm proud to say that we're working on an additional platform with NBC and their production team, and that'll be airing later this year. And I won't provide any more information on that one. But one thing that Chasing 43 did for us is it provided us a great platform as an organization. I don't think there's another race team in the sport that wouldn't have taken that opportunity and ran with it. Our guys, Sammy and his staff and the rest of our organization provided enormous amount of access to the production team for them to gather that footage. And at the end of the day, it provided us with great opportunities on the commercial side of our business. And as 2015 started, we were a little bit behind the 8 ball, and we started to work towards filling in the commercial real estate that we had on the race cars with a focus on 2016. And I think the last few months of 2015, as we head into 2016, opportunities like this gave us some great options as we headed into 2016. So with that, I would like to introduce Brian Moffitt, Chief Executive Officer at Richard Petty Motorsports, to talk about some of the commercial successes of the organization in 2015 and as we head into 2016.
Thank you, Lance, and thank all of you for being here and covering this. We always look forward to this time of year, getting the season kicked off and getting to Daytona and getting things started. But as Lance mentioned, 2015 was a year that the number 9, we needed some help and sponsorship. Richard and Andy provided that help for us and gave us the platform to continue to give Sammy the right resources to make sure we're competing at the highest level. And we're thrilled that by the end of 15, we were able to sign up every sponsor that we had renewals, we had extensions. Smithfield was able to come aboard for 31 races. They were at 29. They also extended the year. We have a multi-year deal again with Smithfield, so they continue to support us in a big way, but our sport in a big way. So we're thrilled to have them. We have U.S. Air Force is renewing with us. We also have STP and Department of Florida Agriculture is going to be back with us again. As we mentioned, and so we got a solid foundation for Eric to go out and win races and contend for the chase. Look forward to it. Yeah. As we mentioned back in December, we're very thrilled to have Brian be a part of the organization now. We just mentioned a couple of weeks ago about bringing the 44 back to continue the Petty legacy, and we're happy to have that on Brian's car as we move forward. We also renewed Twisted Tea. GoBowling.com is going to be a partner with us, and then a longtime partner with Richard Goodies is actually going to be on the 44 car this year. So we're thrilled to have that, thrilled to have Brian, and also to give Sammy the support and all the employees back at Richard Petty Motorsports the support that they need to compete for wins and championships. And now I'd like to introduce our newest sponsor, Albertson Companies and Shore Lodge will be a part of the 44 car moving forward. So we're thrilled to have them. And so this whole platform that we have at Richard Petty Motorsports gives us a real opportunity to give them a solid foundation, give all the guys a solid foundation to compete at the highest level. And we look forward to Brian running for Rookie of the Year this year, as well as competing for wins and getting in the chase, as well as Eric.
Thank you, Brian. So as you can see, we've had a successful business side of our organization the last 5-6 months of 2015, and it's really set us up in a nice position for 2016. One of the things that we set a goal for ourselves as an organization as we started 2015 was to be a more consistent organization. We made the chase in 2014. Eric won his first race as in the Sprint Cup Series at Daytona, something that was near and dear to all of our hearts and something we're very proud of. But we wanted to be a more consistent organization and a more consistent race team. So Sammy set some goals for the organization, and I think we met a lot of those, and I'm going to ask him to speak about those, both on track and the things that we were doing in the race shop to make our organization stronger.
Yeah, thanks, Lance. We went into 2015 really wanting to, as Lance said, build a more consistent base with the 43 team and Eric, and we set top 15s as a goal, and had a board in my office that had an orange line on it and asked Eric to try to stay above it every week, and he did a really good job at that. We also wanted to make the chase. We're very disappointed we didn't make that, but we got very close. But still very proud of the team and the consistency they built. And we're really looking forward in 2016 for Trent and Eric and the additions we've done to the team this winter to moving that to more consistent top 10s and top 5s, making the chase and getting Eric to victory lane like where he belongs. And really feel good about the things we built this winter to be able to do that. And with that, we're super excited to welcome Brian, bring the 44 team back, and bringing Chris Heroy on board. He's been a great fit with our organization, and they're doing a really good job building their team and looking forward to winning Rookie of the Year with Brian next year. So that'll be our goals for 2016. With that, we took on last year in the manufacturing side, hanging our own bodies, and we felt like that was a huge success for us to be able to help with that consistency on the racetrack. And so we're looking forward to building on that even better this year and putting out a better product and faster cars for Chris and Trent to be able to work with. And then so we're also taking on building our own chassis in 2016. Very exciting project for us. And because of help from our great partners that Brian mentioned, Richard, Andy Merstein, we've been able to continue to build this organization back to the Petty ways of winning races and being a winning organization. So very excited about that.
Thanks, Sammy. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we wanted to do with the 43 team was be a more consistent organization, and we were able to accomplish that. Eric had his best career average finish for us as an organization and throughout his career. So I think that showed that the elevation of our organization and being able to compete on a weekly basis. So with that, I'd like to introduce Eric Almirola, the driver of the number 43 Smithfield Ford.
Yeah, thanks. So you guys have heard it already a lot, but the consistency part of the thing was what we missed in 2014. That was a good season for us. I was really proud to get my first win in the Sprint Cup Series, and to be able to make the chase was really exciting for our race team. But we knew at the end of that year that our Achilles heel was the fact that we'd run really good one weekend, the next weekend we wouldn't. We wouldn't know why. We'd go back to the shop and look into it, and we'd go with similar setups and things like that, and we just couldn't put our finger on why we'd run good, why we'd run bad. And that was really our goal going into 2015, was to be a lot more solid race team, show up to the racetrack and know that we're going to compete in the top 15 every week. And like Sammy said, that was our goal going into the season. And right off the bat, we realized that was an attainable goal for ourselves, and we did a really good job this year of doing that. 2014 obviously was a successful year because we won and we made the chase, but in my personal opinion, 2015 was even more successful for us. We missed the chase by, I think, 11 points, which was nothing to hang our heads about. We were disappointed, but we still felt like we accomplished a lot of things, and we circled a couple races that if we could have had back, we certainly felt capable of making the chase. So I've never been more excited about starting a year than I am this year, with the additions that Sammy's made in the shop and personnel and the aero department and building our own chassis and doing all of those things, and having Chris come on board and having him work with Trent, and Trent assembling more guys on our team, the additions that we've made to personnel on our team. I'm just really excited, and everybody always says that this time of year. You guys hear every driver that comes in here says how excited they are to start the season, and everybody's going to win every race and everybody's going to win every championship before the season starts. But I really feel good about this year, and the other thing that I'm really excited about was I was just talking with Lance before we came up here. Since 2012, when I joined Richard Petty Motorsports, every partner that we've had on our race car has stuck with us, and most of them have grown their partnership with us. Obviously, Smithfield being the biggest, but I'm really proud of that, and the support that we get from the people at Ford, and continuing that relationship with them, and they continue to help us more and more with technical resources and those sort of things. That's the kind of things that we need to do to keep building Richard Petty Motorsports back to a winning race team. So I'm excited about 2016, more excited than I've ever been. And I'm not just saying that because it's media day, but I really am excited about this year.
Thanks, Eric. And last but certainly not least, Brian Scott, the newest addition to Richard Petty Motorsports, the driver of the number 44, Albertson Shore Lodge Ford. So we're glad to have Brian back in the fold, or in the fold. We're definitely happy to have the 44 number back as part of Richard Petty Motorsports. It's been a part of the Petty family and the Petty legacy for a long time. And we won't put too much pressure on you in your first year driving that number, but we are happy to have Brian here. He has a vast amount of experience in the stock car ranks, and it's something that we're happy to have as part of our organization. So with that, I'd like to introduce Brian Scott.
Well, thank you guys for being here and joining us this morning. As Eric said, and I don't want to let him down, every driver is going to come in here and tell you that they're excited, and I certainly am excited. Being a rookie, being able to contend for Rookie of the Year, coming into an organization like Richard Petty Motorsports, seeing the involvement that Ford's putting into the team and that Sammy's doing in building this team, and to be able to recruit people like Chris Heroy to come in and work with Trent Owens is really great. And I'm super excited to have this opportunity with them. You know, Petty, the organization, is so much about family legacy and what Richard Petty and the Pettys have done in this sport. So it's really cool for me to have an opportunity to bring a number back, the number 44, to get to drive that and to kind of start continuing the legacy of that number in the Petty organization. But also, I think it's really neat for me to have a legacy of a family, you know, with companies like Albertsons and Shore Lodge that are Idaho-based, that are near and dear to my heart and my family, and to have that tie with a race team that also values family legacy with what they do. Super excited to be able to continue to kind of grow the portfolio of sponsors and what we're trying to do this year, to have Twisted Tea on board, GoBowling.com, goodies. All of those things are really neat, really special, and you know, I've been able to really be involved and to be at the shop ever since we've announced this deal, and I knew I was going to drive. I even got to do a test down in Homestead with these guys and drive some of their race cars, and that's just upped my enthusiasm, upped my excitement to see these guys take on building chassis and hanging bodies and everything that they're doing, and to hear some of the aero numbers and stuff like that we have coming out, and to be part of the Ford family and already doing, things with the other Ford drivers. Like, Eric and I went and represented RPM in a little go-kart shootout, and then have dinner. It's really exciting. There's just a great atmosphere. I guess that's what I'm trying to capture here, is just to tell you guys how good the atmosphere is, how good the morale is, and how good everybody and the companies all seem to be coming together. And I couldn't be more excited to have the opportunity to work with Eric. I've been pulled aside by numerous other drivers in the garage that just tell me how good, how valuable his feedback is, how good of a teammate he's going to be for me, and how much help he is. And that gets me excited to work with him and be a part of this organization.
They're all lying.
Your pockets must be deep. You paid off a lot of people.